the realities of Ukraine's corruption and the role of the CIA in regime change. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine has been framed by Western media as a battle for democracy and sovereignty, with Volodymyr Zelensky cast as the Churchillian figure leading his nation against an external aggressor. However, this narrative conveniently omits crucial historical realities about Ukraine's deep-rooted corruption, the manipulation of its leadership by foreign powers, and the role of the CIA, especially through figures like Victoria Nuland, in orchestrating regime change to serve broader geopolitical interests. Ukraine's history of corruption. Ukraine has long been plagued by systemic corruption, ranking as one of Europe's most corrupt countries. The post-Soviet era saw the emergence of oligarchs who enriched themselves through crony capitalism, exploiting the nation's resources while the general population suffered economic stagnation. Western institutions, rather than alleviating these issues, exacerbated them by supporting figures who aligned with their interests, irrespective of their corrupt practices. Zelensky, despite his initial image as a political outsider promising reform, quickly fell into the same patterns. His ties to oligarch Ihor Kolomoisky, the former owner of Privat Bank, demonstrated his subservience to entrenched financial interests. Kolomoisky, who was accused of massive fraud, backed Zelensky's political rise through his media empire, ensuring that the new leader would protect the oligarchic status quo rather than dismantle it. The CIA and Victoria Nuland's role in regime change. The turning point in Ukraine's modern political trajectory came in 2014, when a US-backed coup toppled the democratically elected government of Viktor Yanukovych. Victoria Nuland, then Assistant Secretary of State for European and Eurasian Affairs, played a pivotal role in engineering this coup, infamously being caught on a leaked phone call discussing who should lead Ukraine after Yanukovych's removal. The call revealed the extent of Washington's interference in Ukraine's internal politics, with Nuland and U.S. Ambassador Jeffrey Pyatt handpicking Ukraine's next leaders. This coup, disguised as a pro-democracy movement, was in reality a regime change operation designed to bring Ukraine firmly under Western influence and remove any pro-Russian elements from power. The immediate aftermath saw the installation of a government filled with figures sympathetic to U.S. interests, paving the way for increased NATO involvement and hostility toward Russia. The false pretense of NATO expansion and the push for war. Zelensky, rather than being an independent leader acting in the best interests of Ukraine, has acted as a willing participant in a geopolitical game orchestrated by the West. The claim that NATO expansion was merely a defensive measure is a deliberate falsehood, one that Zelensky himself perpetuated despite knowing it would provoke Russia. The continuous push to integrate Ukraine into NATO was seen as an existential threat by Moscow, making war almost inevitable. Instead of seeking peace, Zelensky deliberately escalated tensions, refusing to implement the Minsk agreements, which could have provided a framework for resolving the Donbass crisis. His rejection of peace negotiations, especially in 2022 when a deal was reportedly within reach, demonstrates his commitment to prolonging the conflict rather than seeking a resolution. This decision aligns with the interests of the Western military-industrial complex, which benefits immensely from prolonged warfare. The financial interests behind the war, Rothschilds, rare earth minerals, and global control. At the heart of Ukraine's geopolitical significance is its vast untapped wealth in rare earth minerals, a key resource in global technological and military advancements. The notion that the war is about democracy and freedom is a smokescreen for the economic and financial interests of elite power structures, including the Rothschild banking dynasty. The Rothschilds, through their extensive control over global financial institutions and companies like Rio Tinto, have a vested interest in ensuring that Ukraine's mineral wealth does not fall into the hands of independent powers. They exert influence through central banks and multinational corporations, ensuring that Ukraine remains under Western financial control. The U.S., despite its military involvement, is not the ultimate beneficiary of this conflict. Rather, it serves as an enforcer for the real power players who dictate global financial and resource policies. Sabotaging peace for continued control. The sabotage of a potential peace deal in 2022, reportedly brokered between Ukraine and Russia, further illustrates how Western powers manipulate conflicts to serve their interests. Boris Johnson, acting on behalf of the same financial elites who control Zelensky, allegedly intervened to prevent an agreement that could have ended the war. This move ensured that the conflict continued, benefiting defense contractors, energy monopolies, and financial institutions at the expense of Ukrainian lives and stability. The system profits from war, not peace. The system does not want peace because war is a moneymaker. They have already arranged for BlackRock to control most of the deals in Ukraine, ensuring that post-war reconstruction will be monopolized by global financial elites. This conflict is not about national sovereignty or democracy. It is a profit-driven endeavor orchestrated by those who stand to gain from perpetual war. Even Donald Trump, despite his public stance against the war, is ultimately playing into this game by positioning himself as a hero for peace, while the economic deals behind the scenes continue uninterrupted. The global web of power, the real owners of the US, China, and Russia. At the highest levels, the governments of the US, China, and Russia are controlled by the same financial power structures originating from the City of London. These elite financiers manipulate global geopolitics to maintain their grip on resources, economies, and populations. The strategy of creating villains, whether it be Putin, the Iranian leadership, ISIS, or other designated enemies, is a carefully orchestrated play to justify endless wars. This allows the ruling financial elite to funnel trillions into the military-industrial complex while maintaining chaos as a tool of control. The rule is simple: rule chaos, where millions die as casualties sacrificed for the money lords. These manufactured conflicts serve a dual purpose. They keep the masses distracted and fearful while ensuring that the flow of money and power remains within the hands of the global elite. As long as this cycle continues, true peace will remain an illusion, replaced instead by perpetual warfare designed to benefit those who profit from destruction. Conclusion: a manufactured crisis for elite gain. The reality of the Ukraine conflict is far from the heroic tale spun by mainstream media. Zelensky is not a leader fighting for democracy, but a puppet serving elite financial interests that prioritize control over peace. The war has been engineered and prolonged by the same forces that orchestrated Ukraine's political instability in the first place, from the CIA's regime change operations to the manipulation of its economy by global banking elites. As long as Ukraine remains under the control of these external power structures, peace will remain elusive. The conflict serves as yet another example of how wars are manufactured for profit and power, with ordinary people paying the ultimate price, while elites consolidate their control over resources, finance, and geopolitical strategy.